Hi there guys, welcome back. This is the final chapter of my wedding from start to finish. If you remember last time, we were right after the ceremony. Here's a few photos. We're going to go to a little bit of video here, just making sure, staying with the new couple as they're just married and all excited. The grandmother previously talked about wanting a classic shot of having the veil over their heads. That's something that I worked out here in just a minute, after we took some goofy ring shots, of course. If you don't remember, this was my Sony a6000, and actually this was all ambient light with my Sigma 30mm 2.8. And I didn't like that yellow house behind, so I decided to move around. But then I made a mistake and kept the car in here for this one, but it is what it is. Get the receiving line. This is a good spot to get a lot of nice hug shots, because on that shot of my wife and little daughter, nice little hug shots because everyone's at one little point. So now we're getting some of the food shots, which we would usually get sooner. However, they had just put the food out during the end of the ceremony, so we kind of are rushing to get them as everyone's getting set up here. I got most of these overhead flash. I have my 85mm. Do I have my 85? Yep, 85-1.4 on there. Getting the shot of the help, always important to get, especially if it's friends or family or people you go to church with. Good to get those photos. And now we're going to move on to the cake photo, which the little object they had in the middle there, as you can see, is falling. So that shot's a little hot, but it is falling. So we fired as quick as we could while it was still staying up there in order for it to work out, because they didn't have a stand underneath to actually keep it from falling. This is my typical setup for cake cutting shots. Should have had the light on the other side to get more of the face of the bride, more brighter be on her side, but then also this will light up her face when she turns towards the groom if they're going to do a cake smash or anything like that. For portrait, back to landscape orientation, and then I have my brother with my little cheapo flash, or Yongnuo 560 version 3 in my speed light. Good old man walking through the background for the shots. Now, they didn't do too much crazy, but it's always fun to get the anticipation. And one thing I think I did here is I think I outran my flash, which is something I do too much, which eventually means I want to get different flashes with a little more power. So, and I just threw the already shot in there because I like sometimes out of focus. This is something I do all the time. I will shoot a ton of shots of my brother, testing lighting before I bring in the actual person who needs the photo. Now with my 85-1.4, I'm able to blow the background out nicely, especially with it being that far away. If you'll see, I'm shooting, the background I'm getting is right above the fence back there, so I'm not seeing any of the fence, but I'm seeing the trees that are really far away, and it makes a nice little background. This is when I shot the bridesmaids with the bride. And I went back in the woods area, the same place where we shot the guys. I liked it because it was shaded and had light in the background, which makes the background be all nice and bright for the semi-trans or the translucent leaves back there. So had my brother hold the light overhead as always, filling in with light as we need to, making them laugh, all sorts of fun stuff. And then did some more serious shots. That's what I usually do with this in this situation. And actually, in just a minute here is when my Mobius camera, which is the camera you're watching right now, ran out of battery. So it lasted a pretty good time. Sadly, did not last for the couple shots at the end. I will just have still photos of those to talk about. So now I just threw in here a shot of the girls together, another shot of the reception that I liked, and then one shot of my daughter because my daughter's awesome, and then a couple of the couple shots, which I did not have any battery power for. This was out on the golf course, again using my flash when I could when I was up close enough, and I had my neutral density filter on, and then when I brought my neutral density filter back into the woods, I did this shot, and it actually made the background all nice and dark and blurry, which was really nice, so I kept it. And did kind of a rim flash here. My brother held the flash softbox above them and behind them, which kind of gave that a little bit of a rim look. And then that's where I got this shot right here. And then I also then processed it in black and white and did very extreme shadow crushing right there. Now we're going to come to the editing. I'm going to show you my editing from start to finish, all the way from culling all the photos, through editing, through my final step post-processing in Photoshop to the end. It might be kind of boring, so you could stop right now if you wish. Well, you're still here, so here we are to the editing. On the left side of the screen is Photo Mechanics, the program I use. It allows me to view raw files very, very quickly. On the right side of the screen is a video of a flight test, a YouTube channel I watch all the time, because culling photos is not the most exciting thing for me in the world. You'll see in the bottom corner of the Photo Mechanic program the little gray bar that turns purple. It turns purple every time I choose a photo that I want to save. So I'm going to just go through very, very rapidly. You'll see, what time did I start? About 7:27 or so. And I'm able to cull, what did I shoot, 1,600 photos? I think I delivered 700 or so. So I'm able to cull those very, very quickly, which is very nice. One thing I also typically do when I cull is I'll go through and I will just get rid of all my mistakes first. You know, only choosing photos that actually worked, where focus worked, or mostly worked, where lighting worked. And I like the story that it tells. And then I'll go through again and do more of a detailed called like choosing my favorites out of several different poses. So now we are on to the dance, and you just see all the photos I took for the entire wedding at 2,500, 2,500% speed. Choose all the photos that worked, delete all the ones that didn't. I went back to Lightroom, and I'm going to sync that folder because I already imported them into Lightroom. And then I'm going to start just a basic edit on there. And as you'll see, that culling took about 20 some odd minutes. So first thing I typically do is I choose a few photos that I want to post on Facebook right away or the next day. So Jacob got married on the 15th, and so this is the 16th midday. A lot of other people deliver some photos the same night or the next morning. Jason is one of those guys. He'll stay up like 2 in the morning editing. But as you can see this morning, like I said, I started culling at around 9:30. So it's been like, with a lunch break, a couple of hours, not a big deal. Keep on making it through all the different edits, different looks. I cropped this one because I didn't have my 85 there. So that's why I wanted to do that video, or that photo. So then we go through all these. I'm going to slow down on a couple shots. I'm going to slow down Lightroom so you can actually see, if you want, what the settings I used for them. But you can see pretty much a lot of the similar stuff. A lot of moving stuff to taste. A little bit of spot correction. I don't do too terrible much with that stuff. And then here we are onto the photo. I'm actually going to be slowing down. So now we're still at 200% speed just because I want it to move a little bit. I just gotta make a virtual copy in case I make any drastic errors here. And then basically I'm just going to grab a bunch of sliders and throw them left and right really hard and see what I like. I just liked how the rim was here, and I kind of wanted to make them almost a silhouette. Actually, not even a silhouette. Just a fine outline of a painting, or a fine outline. Stop the recording, and now we're going to go back up to the normal speed, do a few more little photos here and there, little touch-ups, and then we're going to be exporting them quite soon here, and then I will be taking them into Photoshop, where Photoshop I use an action. I use actually the program called Portraiture that I learned about from Jason, and I built that into an action that'll actually do a basic portraiture on all the photos. I use image processor in Lightroom or in Photoshop, and then I just let it do its own thing. And that was it, guys. That was the wedding. A lot more in detail than you probably all wanted, but there it is. Anyways, guys, I will talk to you more later. Have a good day. Bye.